And here we go. Welcome in to another edition of Bucky and BK. Today is Monday, August 24th, 2026. And the Buck and I are with y'all for the next 2 hours. On today's show, linebacker T'Anthony Smith has been dismissed from the Texas football team. What does it mean for the Longhorns here in 2026? We'll give our thoughts and let you hear from Steve Sarkisian as well. Speaking of Steve Sarkisian, plenty of other sound from the Longhorns head coach following the Longhorns' second scrimmage of fall camp. Another big day for the defense. What does it mean for the Texas offense as we now sit 12 days away from game one here in 2026? We'll talk plenty of Texas football, plenty of SEC football, a lot of NFL conversation, as well as the Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans had their second preseason games over the weekend. We'll get to a where we at in college football story, and of course the BBK news and why today's not so bad, plus a conversation with our guy Evan Veith over at Inside Texas. We are locked, we are loaded, and we are ready to roll on a Monday program. Hope all of you had a fantastic weekend. We appreciate y'all spending some of your Mondays with us. How are you today, my man?
Hot.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm hot. That's just an easy way to explain it. And it starts right about 2 hours ago. I was going to say it starts now. No, it started about 2 hours ago, around 6 o'clock. And it doesn't really end through the night. It still stays 85, 90 degrees. Straight through the night. You get that little lull at about 4 o'clock where you can, hey, it could be 75. But other than that, boy, it is a hot mother out here, folks. And please continue to hydrate yourself out there, no matter what. No matter what you think you're not really doing, it's not enough. You need even more. And it's good to have you back. Good to have you back on dry land for sure. But it's been a hot one, and it continues to be hot, and all the way until Friday, where I think we'll have some rain on Friday. Yes, Buck is starting to feel it. I'm feeling rain because I can't feel anything else but that. I got to feel it. I got it. I got to bring it on because it is a hot son of a gun. And these kids at the bus stop that I see, BK, it's like they're sitting in the car with their parents. They drive them to the bus stop and they don't get out of the car. It's not like they stand around waiting for the bus. It's too hot to stand there. Other than that, it's all good. Some crazy news here over the weekend, though. So good day to the soldiers at Fort Hood, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you so very much for what you do. You don't care if it's hot. You are there for us, and we do appreciate it. To you and your families, and to all, please be safe out there, please. By the way, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And I will tell you right off the bat, I did not miss this heat. Landed back in Austin around lunchtime yesterday, and I felt it as soon as I walked off the plane. I mean, I didn't have to really be outside, just in the little jetway going from the airplane to Bergstrom. I was starting to sweat, and, triple-digit temps yesterday, triple-digit temps all last week. We're going to get it again this week, not to turn this into a total weather report. But, look, I love living in Austin. I choose to live here for a reason. But this is the time of the year where I almost wish I didn't live in Austin. But I'm good. Yeah. Good to be back home. Good to be back on dry land, like you said. Good to actually be doing shows from the comfort of my own place. God is good. Life is good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, and thank you for sending me that wonderful picture of the great Bobby Orr.
Yeah, I was in Boston over the weekend for a wedding. I think most of y'all know that's where I did Friday's show, but did some touring of the city. Got to see Paul Revere's house. You'd think we'd give that guy a better house considering all he did for our country. It's kind of crap near downtown Boston, but walked by TD Garden, and yeah, they've got that iconic statue of that legendary Bobby Orr goal in the Stanley Cup final where he gets tripped up and he's like flying through midair. I know you as an old school hockey fan would appreciate that.
Bobby Orr, Ray Bork, all of those guys. Bobby Orr, I worked for Bobby Orr in the agent business. Bobby Orr and Bob Wolf were together as when I went off for 1 year and got into the agent business. I worked for Bobby Orr. I've never seen a crowd of people get around a guy when that guy steps into a restaurant and he signs stuff. He doesn't shoo them away. He's incredible, man. He is an icon. He is a legend in Boston now.
Yeah, one of the great hockey players of all time, and still to this day a legend in the Boston area. So
where's my hockey? Every time I see him, I say, "Where's my hockey stick?" My ex has that. That thing is. He signed a hockey stick to me. It was unbelievable. I don't have that.
Hey,
I
kids,
lost that.
don't get divorced so you don't lose your Bobby Orr signed hockey sticks.
That thing would be worth something down the line here. I think Bobby Orr is 78 years old now. I think he was born in 50. No. Was he born in? Yeah, he's 78. He's 78 years old.
You're dead on with the age. He was born in 1948.
48, yes.
So your math a little off, but yeah, Bobby Orr, 78 years young. So there you go.
Are you educated? Do you feel educated after leaving Boston?
Those people are weird, and they sound
they sound weird, don't they?
They talk like that. I don't understand.
No, parking cars.
Yeah, wicked smart, parking cars, clam chowder.
Oh boy, what a place!
Yeah, good to be back in Austin for sure. You mentioned it though a moment ago, Buck. Some very surprising news to talk about here on a Monday. Again, we sit Colt McCoy days away from the start of the Texas football season. 12 days between now and when the Longhorns will take the field against Texas State for the first time here in the 2026 season. Was not expecting to be talking about roster news right now, but I think most Longhorn fans know this by now. Linebacker Anthony Smith is no longer a member of the Texas football team. It was reported first Friday afternoon by Anwar Richardson of Orange Bloods that he is no longer with the program, and it was confirmed by the university later that night. They didn't wait that long to validate the reports. The exact wording in an email that was sent out by John Bianco, Buck, quote, "Several of you have asked, and I can now confirm that linebacker Anthony Smith has been dismissed from the team," end quote. So, for the first hour or so after the initial reporting, it was, okay, maybe Anthony Smith is going through a personal issue. Maybe he decided to step away on his own. But again, shortly after, later on Friday night, the university itself confirmed that no, Anthony Smith had been dismissed from the Texas football program. And again, less than 2 weeks away from the start of the season, Texas loses a very valuable piece, Buck, in the heart of Will Muschamp's defense.
Yeah, that's a tough loss, and at this time, it's generally if you're not arrested or truly break team rules away from campus or whatever, generally you have said something that has taken it way too far. You've said something about somebody. You've said something to teammates. Teammates have passed it on. You get to the coach and you say something to either your position coach or to the head coach, and then they said, "You got to be gone. You're going to hurt this team. We're not going to let you talk like that about other players or why you should be playing." Or it's very competitive. It's very hot, like you said. It's 130, 140, 150 degrees outside. You say things that you wish you could take back, and you can't take them back. And I mean, it gets to be, I'm just speculating, but if it, we haven't read that it's the guy was drunk somewhere, or he ran into somebody or ran through a stop sign and hit somebody. It just sounds like something to do with competition. And he wasn't liking the competition that was going on. And they said, bye.
Yeah, well, here's what we know. Again, the John Bianco email, but also we've got some sound from Steve Sarkisian, who held a media availability following the Longhorns' second scrimmage of fall camp, which went down on Saturday at DKR TMS. Here was Steve Sarkisian when asked about what happened with Anthony Smith.
Yeah, he was dismissed. Conduct detrimental to the team, and that's just what it is. I didn't like it. It's an unfortunate situation. For him individually. I hate that. For us as a team, I hate that. He's a quality player. But I have to think about the team first.
I mean, that's what coaches have to do. I mean, those are hard decisions, because a lot of it, mostly, as I said, at this time of the year, it's generally words, and words can be harmful if that just keeps going through the team, if you let it keep happening and the guy continues to do it, he's got to go. Sorry, I mean that's a coach's decision. But generally, it's over competition But as I said, it's not. I don't think it's something to do unless you're stealing stuff or something weird like that. It's a heated time, man. Guys are battling things out, but you still have to be a grown up, and you got to watch what you say, and you better watch what you say around the head coach or to your position coach, because if a position coach feels like he can't handle you and he goes to the head coach, then that's when it becomes a problem.
Conduct detrimental to the team, the exact verbiage from Steve Sarkisian there. We don't have much more than that right now. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think Steve Sarkisian wanted to do this. I mean, you heard him say it's an unfortunate situation. We're not talking about a back-of-the-roster depth guy here. We're talking about a linebacker who played more than 400 defensive snaps last season, a guy who was a big contributor on special teams last season. Obviously, a guy who was expected to be a big factor here in 2026 is maybe not a starting linebacker, but a guy who was going to be heavily involved in the rotation. Now, it's not the first time we've seen Sark do this. Remember, midway through the 2024 season, the Longhorns' first year in the SEC, Texas dismissed wide receiver Jonte Cook from the team. And that was a 5-star, a guy who was expected to do huge things for the Longhorns. But he apparently was talking. He was being a problem in the locker room. And Sark said, I don't care that we're in the middle of our first year in the conference and we're making a run at a conference title and a college football playoff. You got to go. So we've seen this in the past. We're seeing it right now. And again, it's tough because it's a guy who was expected to have a very important role for this Texas team this year, Buck.
Yeah, you got to let those guys know who the boss truly is. And yeah, this is high-level football, and you're important to the team, but you're not that important. You know, I've started in February working on culture and things like that. I can't talk culture. As a head coach, you got to prove culture, and your culture is you can't let a guy who can become a cancer in your locker room stick around. No matter how good he is, he's got to go. You'll find somebody else.
Yeah, no one player is bigger than the team. And again, unfortunate situation this close to the start of the season. Obviously, it'd be unfortunate if it happened in the spring or in the summer, but obviously now you don't have that much time to find answers at the linebacker spot. And if we're being honest, Buck, linebacker was already one of the thinner position rooms on this Texas roster. Remember, you lost your top 3 tacklers and snap getters from last season with Anthony Hill and Trey Moore going to the NFL, with Leonga Lafau entering the transfer portal. Obviously, Texas hit the portal itself pretty hard to bring in replacements, but that was already a totally new look room here. And again, Anthony Smith was expected to get major snaps. So now here you go. Raheem Biles, we've talked about him a lot. Juice Cryer, the transfer from Florida State, we've talked about him a lot. Those 2 guys are more important than ever. And then you've got to start building some depth with some other transfers and some freshmen behind them.
Yeah, and as a coach who's been around football a long time, whether it's Sark or Will Muschamp, you know that you can let things go pretty far. I mean, you just don't. This isn't the first time. This was not a first time. Whatever it is, it's not a first time that the guy's done it and then they just dismiss him. They let you go. They understand what the heat of battle is right now. They know the level of football that these guys are playing at and how tempers can flare. But, dude, you have to watch your mouth and what you say, because what you say sticks around. You know, your actions and what you say will stick around a long time. You know, you may practice the next day, but what you said that day of or to somebody or around somebody, that doesn't go away. They don't just let that – they don't just let that hang in a team, and they can start to feel that. Other guys get a little bit upset. Another guy said, so that guy can say that to you, coach, and you're not going to do anything about it? Oh, no, that you have to – and like I said, it wouldn't be something that happened the first time.
Right, agreed. And CB says reports are that Anthony Smith and Colin Simmons got into it a couple of times at practice. And I think, again, connecting dots, maybe speculating more than we should right now.
Sure.
But, you know, we've talked about this a lot, right? Anthony Smith had a huge bowl game against Michigan. And with the top 3 linebackers from last year all departing, I think the assumption was, okay, Anthony Smith is guaranteed to be a starter for this Texas defense in 2026. Well, again, the Longhorns go out. They bring in a bunch of guys from the transfer portal, Raheem Biles and Juice Cryer, most notably. Anthony Smith has off-season shoulder surgery, so he's not much of a participant in the spring. And it almost sounds like he got Wally pipped a little bit. Like, Raheem Biles is one of the best defensive players in the country. The moment he committed to Texas, we knew he was going to be a starter.
Right.
Juice Cryer coming in from Florida State, sounds like he was better than Texas thought. And it sounds like he made the most of his opportunity in the spring with Anthony Smith on the sideline. And obviously with the new defensive coordinator, maybe it's a different conversation if Pete Kwiatkowski is still around, because PK knows what Anthony Smith is all about. Will Muschamp hasn't been here, so not so much. So maybe he really liked what he saw from Juice Cryer. Anthony Smith, again, you play more than two linebackers, but he wasn't guaranteed to be one of those top two. Maybe he started voicing his displeasure with the situation here. Again, speculation, reports, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think
and there's a bunch of stuff that because of the HIPAA laws you can't say. So coach has got to say he's just dismissed. That's all. Detrimental.
You think that's HIPAA is why we don't get any more than that?
Well, I mean, the coach would love to be able to tell you exactly what it is, but once again, that's his team too, and that's their private business, and they don't, forget HIPAA. He doesn't want to let you know exactly. He's not going to tell you that the kid may have been a jerk. I mean, he don't want to say that about the kid. He doesn't want to destroy the kid, But once again, it's not something, folks, that happens one time. They're not going to jump to conclusions after you say something one time. Everybody knows that this is competitive. Everybody knows things happen on a football field, at a practice, in a meeting room. But one thing you can't do, you can't let it continue to happen, whether the guy's being disrespectful to another player or to a coach or whatever. And as I'm saying, we're just speculating, but it doesn't sound like it's anything off campus.
Well,
or we would know about it by now.
Yeah. If he had gotten arrested or anything like that, right? We'd all know about it. And it's interesting, Buck, like 2 weeks ago, before the Longhorns' first scrimmage of the fall, there were some reports, this was not confirmed by the coach or by the school or anything, that Anthony Smith was away from the team. But then Steve Sarkisian told us he had the flu. Remember that flu bug that was going around the Texas locker room? Raheem Biles, Justice Terry, there were a bunch of players that were affected by it who didn't participate in the first scrimmage last weekend. So I think a lot of us chalked it up to, okay, well, he just has the flu. Maybe he went home for a little bit, or maybe it's just false reporting. He's sick. That's why he's not with the team. But maybe there was something there a couple of weeks ago where it was, I don't know if it was a warning or.
Yeah, just building up. Yeah,
exactly. I don't know. I kind of put it to bed. I kind of assumed, all right, well, I'm taking Sark at his word. He was just sick, but now it's all good. But maybe this had been stirring. I bring that up to say, like you said, maybe this had been festering for a while, and it obviously got to the point where the head coach felt like it could no longer continue. So that's where we're at right now. Here was Steve Sarkisian, Buck. Obviously, the follow-up question on Saturday was, okay, are you worried about your linebacker room now that Anthony Smith is not a part of the equation? Here's the Longhorns head coach.
From the linebacker perspective, when you really think about it, and you think about the amount of nickel you really play in season and what that looks like, you're thinking about two backers the majority of time on the field. You want as many healthy, good players as you can have at every position, right? But part of this is, we recruit some high-level people too, and how fast can we get them ready to go? And we've got three really good young players, and Kozi Akpala had a great interception today that probably returned for a touchdown. So those guys are coming, but we also know we've got great experience in Cryer and Biles, and Brad Spence is an experienced guy who gives us position flex and versatility. But guys are going to have to grow into certain roles. And then, I think, when we do want to go into our base package, that we've got the right people on the field, how many snaps a game that really is, depending on the opponent.
Yeah, they've got guys who want to play the position. I'm pretty sure that this isn't something that Sark wanted. Like I said, it didn't just happen. This is not something he wanted to happen, or he was waiting for it to happen to get rid of a guy. It's just too bad. And this close to the season, it's too bad because it affects a lot of people when that happens. Because that kid, even though he's gone, he's got friends on the team. He's got friends that now all of a sudden he's dismissed from the team. That affects your football team. That affects your culture, But as a coach, eventually you just have to stand and say, we can't have it. And guess what? You don't get another chance. Once again, everybody, people deserve a second chance. Not everybody gets one, but guess what? You don't get 5 or 6 of them when you have to get ready to play what the Longhorns have to do. You're going to be gone. They don't have time to be messing around with you.
Well, it's now, again, the question becomes, does Texas have enough at linebacker? Now, we've seen the Longhorns go to the transfer portal this late in the offseason. Remember,
go to NFL camp. They can go to an NFL camp. Somebody's got to come on board. Everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, we'll get to that ridiculous story involving LSU a little bit later. You think CeeDee Lamb could maybe play for Texas? Well, I shouldn't have picked it sooner. I don't know if that's going to work. You think oh, no, I shouldn't have picked the Georgia Bulldog.
No.
I got to go with somebody else here. Yeah, why not? Just go to the NFL and go find a linebacker, obviously.
Yeah, a guy who left after 3-4 years. You don't need it. You got a 5th year. They're all coming back now any damn way.
Hey, DeMarvion Overshone. Hey, come on back to Austin. We'll take you. Yeah, I don't know. Look, 2 years ago, Texas went out and got a running back, Velton Gardner, out of the portal. I remember it was 9 days before the first game. Remember, they lost C.J. Baxter and Jarrett Gibson to season-ending injuries during fall camp that year. And Sark's like, we just need a body. And they went out.
Yeah, that dude ended up being a practice guy and then getting hurt.
Well, yeah, he played in a couple of games like garbage time against bad teams, and then he suffered a season-ending injury. But yeah, like at this point, you're not finding a Derek Johnson out there.
No.
You just, if you do bring somebody in, you just need an extra body, like emergency depth kind of.
But once again, somebody has to go down and show your, do a scout team stuff. You can't just send anybody down there. Hey, Michael Terry, time for another position move.
Well, here's what I've got the Texas Longhorns roster pulled up right now, and it has been updated. Ty Anthony Smith is.
Oh, don't even dare tell me that Michael Terry's a part of that. He can't be.
He's not. He's listed as a running back, and that's where he's been playing, and I think that's where he's going to keep playing. You've got Raheem Biles, Tyler Atkinson, freshman, 5-star.
Yeah.
Jose Opala, you heard Steve Sarkisian mention there, freshman, 4-star out of the Houston area. Justin, a.k.a. Juice Cryer. Rocky Cummings, another freshman. Jonathan Cunningham, a sophomore who's been working a lot at safety this offseason. Eric Garza, former walk-on junior. Marcus Boswell, former Lake Travis Cavalier, who transferred in from Akron this offseason. And Darius Snow, the Michigan State 6th-year transfer. Oh, but there's one more. And you ready for a conspiracy theory, Buck?
All right.
I think Steve Sarkisian kicked Ty Anthony Smith off the team for one reason and one reason alone. There's one more linebacker that I haven't mentioned. You know who it is?
Not his kid.
Brady Sarkisian. We've got to get the coach's son some more playing time, and that is why Ty Anthony Smith had to go. He was blocking young Sark from getting on the field and being an impact player in the heart of the Texas defense. Sorry, Ty Anthony Smith, you're out. Brady Sark in.
Great.
That's what's going on here.
That's the comfort level I want before the game start. That's for sure.
How's that? So that's your linebacker. That's everybody. And again, one of those guys that I mentioned is not even playing linebacker. At least he hasn't really been playing linebacker this offseason. So
hey, you got to have son of a coach. I mean, why not? He's going to know all. He's going to know everything. He's going to be in the right spot. Probably until the contact comes, but that's okay. He's there.
He's there. He has appeared in some games. He's been at Texas for a number of years. He is a senior. Trying to see. Let's see. He did have a half a tackle last year against Sam Houston. I think he's played in 3 games in his first 3 seasons in Austin. He's ready for the big time, Buck.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Everybody matters right now. All on board right now. You got to have play. Once again, somebody has to go down there and give the offense a little look. So you can't just send anybody down there. Those guys are important. You lose somebody this time of the year, whether it be injury or discipline reasons, that hurts before the season. And this is a guy that was going to be playing.
For sure. So we'll talk more about this. We'll talk about some of the actual more realistic options. I think it's obvious that I'm being a little facetious with the Brady Stark comments, but we'll talk about some of these freshman linebackers, and we've got some sound from Steve Sarkisian talking about Juice Cryer, who all of a sudden feels like one of the most important players on the entire team. But before we dive back into the Texas football conversation, Buck, how about our first round of sponsor shout-outs?
Hello to Jay and the gang over at Sue Patrick since 1975. Great selection of Longhorn apparel, collectibles, hats, T-shirts, tons of Texas-themed gifts, books, golf accessories, men's and women's clothing, of course. They've been including toddlers. You got a 1-year-old or you got one that's 6 months old, they've got all that gear. Those little Longhorns need some gear too, so they've got just all the things that you're looking for when it comes to toddlers. Sue Patrick offers free shipping on online orders of $59 or more, free curbside pickup, and plenty of parking space. Go on over yourself to 5222 Burner Road. Say hello to the gang, and remember to say hello to Sue while you're there, of course. The Jellycats have been restocked. They've been in business for 50 years. They've even got Longhorn luggage, so if you're going to those away games, make sure you get that carry-on luggage. Well, hell, stay there a little bit longer if you have to. They got the big luggage, too. They don't have just carry-on. They've got full luggage, like when BK goes traveling. That kind of luggage, trunks, if you must know. They got trunks where they got the whole works at Sue Patrick. And folks, once again, they're located at 5222 Burner Road. And for more information, go to SuePatrick.com. We love the folks over at Sue Patrick. Want to know if those glasses are in, those schedule glasses, what's going on now?
Our guy Jay with the comment right now.
Yeah, there you go, Jay. Thank you.
The schedule glasses are in, which means Bucky and I will probably be in store later this week doing a show.
Nice.
Yeah, these things are awesome. The schedule glasses, the schedule shirts, gear up for the season. Our friends at Sue Patrick. Shout out to them. Also, a shout out to our great friends at Kalshi. Before the season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions, including us, including you. Who wins the conference? Who makes the playoff? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. How about this? You can even trade on undefeated regular seasons in college football. Will the Longhorns go 12-0? It's trading at a 3% probability, which means a $100 trade will net you more than $830.
Can I bet on UMass going 0-12? Can I go the other way too?
You probably trade on that if you wanted to. Although UMass has football. Are we sure about that?
They still have football. Yeah.
Okay. You could trade on anything on Kalshi. That's the beauty of it. And you're also trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. So as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position at any time. Trade the draft pick, trade the game, trade everything on Kalshi. If you download the Kalshi app and use code Bucky, you're going to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi, Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all customers. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
And our good friends over at Hat Creek Burger, I will not be there before my golf outing because I am not playing golf this week. I am taking a week off of the madness. Yes, remember the guy who says it's just not hot enough for me to go out there and play? It's too hot. I'm not doing it this week. I'm not going out there at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and playing golf. But you know what that means? I can just go over to Hat Creek Burger and enjoy a Hat Creek Burger and a shake and some of those great fries. It's a place that's it's got good food. It's got good fun. It's got good folks over there. It's just that simple. Great place, great playgrounds for the kids. Hey, I may even get on the playscape. Hell, I only weigh 148 pounds. Maybe I can get up on the playscapes and play because I know I can't have that margarita because they got margaritas for the adults over there. Can't have one of those. But I can play in the playscape at 148, can I? I'm not going to break anything.
At 148 years old?
48 pounds.
You are lighter than some of the kids who will be running around in there.
Some of those little chubbies that get on the playscapes, that's okay. Love Hat Creek Burger Company, folks. At Hat Creek Burger Company, there's something there for everyone.
Don't be a creep. If you're over the age of, 13, 14.
Don't go down the slide.
Stay out of the playscape Weirdos.
Come on, man.
Let the kids, the actual kids, have their fun at Hat Creek. You can have fun. You'll have fun eating the burger. You don't need to be hanging around the little kids in the play areas, please.
Taking a little kid down the slide with me. Is that a little weird?
That's a lot of weird, I would say. Not bad. What's not weird is going to Centex Tickets to buy your Texas football tickets. That's very normal. That's what you should be doing, as a matter of fact. The place to go to find your Longhorn football tickets all season long, centextickets.com. Super easy to use. Just log on from your phone or computer. You'll see every game, home, away, neutral. Of course, it's not just Texas football. Every Longhorn sporting event. You want to catch a Cowboys or a Texans game this year, they got you covered. Concerts, ACL Music Festival not too far away, Formula One not too far away. If you want to be at the biggest events in Central Texas, centextickets.com. Don't forget the promo code CENTEX10. If you type that in at checkout, you're going to get 10% off of any ticket purchase, whether you're buying 1, 2, 10, it doesn't matter. 10% off from our great friends at centextickets.com with the promo code CENTEX10. We love them. You will too. centextickets.com.
Love them.
All right, diving back into the Texas Longhorn conversation. Again, the biggest storyline from the weekend, third-year linebacker Anthony Smith, no longer a member of the Texas football program. He was dismissed by the university. We found out on Friday afternoon. Steve Sarkisian confirmed it on Saturday after the Longhorn scrimmage. We mentioned his name a moment ago, Juice Cryer, the transfer from Florida State, a senior who's originally from the state of Texas, spent his first 3 years in Tallahassee, transferred back to the Lone Star State for, I don't want to say it's his final year of college football. I don't know if anyone really has a final year of college football these days, but Juice Cryer, we've heard great things about him since he got here in the spring, took over one of the starting jobs at linebacker back in the spring, has had a great summer, has had a great fall camp. Seems like he's done everything that's asked of him and then some since arriving to Austin. Obviously, with Anthony Smith no longer with the team, Juice Cryer's importance has gone up exponentially. Here was Steve Sarkisian Saturday when asked about Juice Cryer and what he brings to the Longhorn defense.
I think one thing, every player, when they come into our program, whether they're transfers or freshmen, whatever that looks like, everybody's kind of path and journey is always a little bit different than others. I will say this about Justin Cryer. This guy is doing everything in his power to maximize this opportunity this season for his personal growth and success, but also to be part of a championship caliber team. And you can feel it in the way that he walks into the building every single day. His intent in meetings, his intent in Culture Wednesdays, his intent in walkthroughs, his ability to communicate, Coach Muschamp's defense, the way he practices, the level of intensity that he plays at. And I think that's why his teammates rave so much about him. This guy is squeezing every ounce of juice that he can out of this opportunity to be at Texas. And it's greatly appreciated. And I think it serves as a great model for a lot of the other transfers. Like, this guy didn't wait and feel it out to, like, where do I fit in? He's gone for it. And I think he's reaping the benefits of it. He's playing at a high level for us right now.
Sounds like a really good football player. I can use less of the drama, but yeah, he sounds like a good football player that's understanding this is a great opportunity for him.
Well, you get the nickname Juice, you've got to bring some of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds like that's exactly what Justin Cryer has done. And you called it drama, but that's about as high of praise for a player as you could possibly get from your head coach. And
No doubt.
right. Look, I think it's like, there's no way to make a direct comparison, but just we'll use a normal people comp for right now. You're starting a new job. You're at a new place. You're at a new company. There's a feeling out process, right? Like, you got to learn your role, what you're supposed to do, how you fit in with the rest of the team. Sometimes it takes people a little bit of time. Like, they don't want to overstep. They don't want to do too much. They just kind of want to follow along for a while. And then, okay,
Sure.
Maybe down the road, you take more of a leadership role and you start to be yourself. It sounds like Juice Cryer was like, to hell with that. Like, this is my senior year of college football. I got a chance to play at the University of Texas. The guy that I'm competing with for a starting job is injured right now, so I'm going to make the most of my opportunity and not let him get his job back when he comes back. That That's what I took from Steve Sarkisian, is that's exactly what Cryer has done.
Well, when I told the kids in the car line for the first week, that first impression, you don't get a second chance to make a first great impression. Obviously, this kid made a great impression. Just the fact that he's here was his first impression must have been pretty good with all the coaches, and especially the head coach, which is the most important impression that you have when you come to a team. So he impressed the coach, and he continues to do that, every day. So that's what you got to do. Got to take advantage of every opportunity when you have that opportunity, whether it's on the field, off the field, Culture Wednesday or whatever they call it. You have to, you got to speak up. You can't be sitting back in a corner and being idle. He's going to take advantage of. He sounds like a grown up, like a real grown up on the football team right now. So, what is a senior?
He's a senior. Yep.
That's what he's supposed to sound like.
Fourth year of college football. And this is not a Raheem Biles situation. Again, when Texas got Raheem Biles, he was one of the top rated players in the transfer portal. That guy's put up ridiculous numbers. He was one of the more productive linebackers in college football last year. Over 100 tackles, 17 TFLs. Dude's got 3 pick sixes in his career. You look at Juice Cryer's stats, 3 years at Florida State, a total of 86 tackles, just 1 sack, 1 interception. Like, he's not the proven commodity. He wasn't the can't miss guaranteed linebacker that everybody and their mother was bending over backwards to try to get. This is a guy, Texas clearly identified him. You're right, Buck. He made a good first impression. You don't have a lot of time to do that in the transfer window. No. It's not like high school recruiting where you're talking to these kids for years and cultivating relationships. It all happens pretty fast. Obviously, Cryer did enough to get the Texas offer. And then more importantly, since he's been here, I had high hopes and high praise and high expectations for Anthony Smith. The way he finished last year, the way he played in the bowl game against Michigan. That guy had 2 interceptions against Michigan. He was all over the field. I thought for sure he was going to be good enough, regardless of what Texas added in the portal and in high school recruiting, to be a starter for this team. Clearly that was not the case. And Juice Cryer, I think, is the biggest reason why.
Yeah, that's the guy that's a guy you need for everybody on the team, not just the stars to see how hard he works, but the guys that aren't stars, that are 3rd, 4th team guys that want to move up in the lineup. This is how you do it. Follow that guy's lead. He'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So Raheem Biles and Justice Cryer, those are your 2 guys right now. Your projected starters at linebacker. We played the cut earlier. Steve Sarkisian talked about how nickel is base more than ever before. A lot of formations in modern college football, you only have 2 linebackers on the field at one time. Now, it doesn't mean you only need 2. Obviously, there are personnel packages where you will have 3 or 4 on the field at once. And then, of course, if something happens to one of your top 2 guys, you got to have depth. Yes. He knows that. We all know that. But that's where Texas is right now. And obviously, Buck, the freshmen have to get up to speed. At a lot of positions on this Texas roster, it's like, it'd be nice to have the freshmen contribute early on, but we've got enough experienced talent to where, okay, we don't have to rely on them to make an impact this year. Texas brought in 3 linebackers in this freshman class, and we've talked about it. All 3 of those guys look like great finds for the Longhorns. All 3 of them have been very good since getting here. The 5-star Tyler Atkinson, you've got Kosi Okpala, you've got Rocky Cummings. Those 3 guys, Buck, they're not just luxury items anymore. Those dudes, I'll tell you what, 12 days from now against Texas State, it's going to be pretty important because there's a chance you're going to need at least one of them against the Buckeyes 7 days after that.
Oh, no, there's no doubt about it. The thing about Cryer was, he was a pretty good high school player. He wasn't just some scrub. So this is a pretty good football player that you're getting. It just didn't, he went to Florida State. It just didn't happen there. They get pretty good players there too. And whatever the case, he's back in Texas. And you've got, like you said, you've got these 3 young guys that are watching this guy and how he handles his business. I think for the linebacker position is you got some pretty good guys that you can watch and emulate on this team. These are the kind of guys that you want. These are the kind of go-getters that you want to look at and say, this is how I need to handle my business too.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And again, Biles has proven
right.
That's the guy. You see all these preseason watch lists and these preseason All-America teams. His name keeps popping up. So that's one guy to learn from. And then again, I'm taking Sark at his word with the way he's praising the work ethic and the mentality of Justin Cryer. Feels like you've got 2 seniors, 2 models to look after. But, man, I mean, you've got Brad Spence. Don't forget about Brad Spence.
Right.
His second year after transferring in from Arkansas, he could play off the edge. He could play off the ball at linebacker. He's an experienced player who, again, was at Arkansas before he got to Texas. So he's been in the SEC for a few years. He's put in numbers. Don't sleep on him. That's an important guy to have. But after Brad Spence, you're talking about these freshmen, and they better be ready. Kosi Okpala is the name that I keep hearing, like, repeatedly. And you heard Sark mention it earlier. He had a pick six. And apparently it was like a really nice play where he tipped the ball to himself and caught it and took it to the house in the scrimmage on Saturday. And he had another PBU. He apparently sniffed out a screen and forced a throwaway. Like, he's been working with the twos on defense, and he's been all over the place. So he might be a guy to stash in the back of your brain. Number 18 is his number. Again, Tyler Atkinson, the 5-star, who everybody knows about. Texas got him from the state of Georgia. That was a huge recruiting win. The Texas State game is obviously important for a million different reasons, but those dudes, Buck, some of these freshmen, it's like, yeah, in the third or fourth quarter when Texas is up by 30, they'll play. I think like second or third series, we're going to see some of these young linebackers because they got to figure out, can we trust these dudes
the following week? You're right.
Yeah, the following week, and obviously an SEC play too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to look, I know people get worried about that position. It sounds like they've got some pretty good players in those positions, at those linebacker positions, to do okay.
Yeah.
So
that's the hope. That is the hope.
Yeah, and I bet you they went into that scrimmage and smacked the offensive line around a little bit again, probably, because you lose a guy on that defense, and then you get a couple guys who are in there playing now. Things get a little crazy in there.
Oh yeah,
guys are flying around, like their rear ends are on fire.
There were some notable players not on the field in scrimmage number 2. Obviously, Anthony Smith won't be on the field here ever again. But Trevor Gooseby, of course, out, still dealing with that bone bruise. Lawrence Seymour, the left guard, he was in full pads but not really participating in Saturday's scrimmage. Steve Sarkisian did tell us he's expected to be back at practice today, so that's obviously good news. But I guess as we sort of change the conversation from just talking about linebacker to talking about what went down at DKR TMS on Saturday, Buck, a bit of a surprise, something you and I don't think expected.
I didn't expect it.
After the defense won, quote unquote, scrimmage won the previous Saturday, you and I were both like, well, it's an offensive-minded head coach, and you want to make sure that side of the football is right. So they'll probably adjust the scrimmage to make sure that the offense wins the day. That was not the case on Saturday. Sark told us himself. All the insiders told us as well. Now, the offense had its moments, but the defense stole the show once again over the weekend.
So, and like they did the entire year last year at every practice?
Yeah, at least that's what it felt like in fall camp with the way the Texas offense started the 2025 season.
That doesn't make me feel great. The thing that makes me feel great is the fact that nobody got hurt.
That's the key. And we got a couple of bits of sound. We'll start with Sark's opening statement where he talked about the conditions of the scrimmage and didn't mention that nobody got hurt. And then we'll get to Steve Sarkisian talking about a disappointing day for the Texas offense.
I thought kind of a good and bad scrimmage. I know that sounds kind of like, how's it good and bad? I thought it was good from the standpoint of this. We ran, I think, 120 plays today in the scrimmage. It was 105 degrees in the field. On the field, it was just close to 150 degrees. And so the fact that our guys fought through those conditions and getting comfortable in those conditions, I thought was good for us. And I thought that coming out of this scrimmage of 120 plays and having no injuries, that's a positive when a lot of teams around the country are having this scrimmage and guys are going down. So I think it speaks to the conditioning of the team, where they're at.
Yeah, I mean someone says if the defense did bad, we'd be talking about Will Muschamp being no good. No, I'd be talking about the offense has picked up the pace. Last year I was thinking that, Sark was being kind to his offense And I was thinking, man, as it goes on, I really don't think they won very many of these deals before the season started, because we saw the way they played up into the middle of the season. And I just don't want it to be that way. I want to hear some really good things about the offense. I want to hear some good things about the quarterback taking control, being the leader, getting some really, really good work in. And I don't seem to hear a lot of that yet. And I know we're still, well, hell, we're not that far out, guys. We're 12 days out. I mean, I want to hear about the offense being good. I want to hear about these running backs getting some holes. I want to hear about the defense, having 3 plays in a row where they can't stop this offense. That's what you want to hear. I haven't heard any of that kind of stuff yet. I'm hearing about, they had their moments. Well, you're going to need more than moments in 4 quarters of football.
For sure. Yeah. And look, I mean, we've talked about it before. We'll continue to talk about it. These practices and these scrimmages are always net zero. That's just how it works.
Right. Dude, as long as you don't get anybody hurt, still, I'm still happy about hearing guys banged up. As he said, guys aren't getting carted off the field. There's 150 on that field, and you guys are fighting through it and getting it done. So that's important too.
Yeah, and I'm excited to hear that the defense is playing well, because I think we all, as much as we love Will Muschamp and as much as, I don't want to say older Texas fans, but if you're like above the age of 25, you remember how good Texas's defense were the first time Will Muschamp was here. I know we're all excited about the hire from a nostalgia standpoint, but we're still talking about a guy who hasn't really coordinated a defense in 6 years. So I like hearing about his defense playing really well, anticipating, creating turnovers, creating havoc. Those are positive things. But again, it's always net zero with these things. You want to hear just as much about the offense. And I think every Longhorn fan remembers the way Arch Manning and this team started the year last year. And it's like, is this a here we go again? Or are we just, we love Arch Manning? We treat Arch Manning like, Buck, I've never been a parent, but it feels like a lot of Texas fans treat Arch Manning like somebody saying something bad about their kid. It's like, my kid might actually have that problem, but because he's my kid, I'm going to defend him and I'm going to say you're wrong. Like that's kind of in the back of my mind, is like, oh no, is Arch Manning maybe not taking the step as we had hoped he would take? We're talking about practice, but we're not hearing as many positive things about the starting quarterback as maybe I anticipated at this point. And this probably isn't going to make you feel better, because here's Steve Sarkisian talking about, again, the disappointing day that the offense had in Saturday's scrimmage.
Thought offensively, it was too sloppy for my liking. I feel like we should be better, more efficient from an offensive perspective. Again, that, not to say that there weren't some good things, to think that all 3 starting wideouts caught touchdowns, or at least 2 of them. I know for sure. I know Emmett caught 2, Ryan Wingo caught 1, and then Jermaine Burton got 1. So the fact that the ball's getting spread around the way that we want to was good. But again, just too many errors occurring on the offensive side of the ball today that is uncharacteristic for what we've put on tape in practice. And so we've got to get back to that mentality, regardless if it's a scrimmage format, a practice format, a game format, because the game's going to be here in 2 weeks. But all in all, I like the intent of kind of, for the most part, of what the majority of the guys brought. There's some guys that need to be better. And that's not uncommon. I would to think that every guy is going to come out and just have a great scrimmage every time we go out. But it's our job as coaches to get as close as we can to 100% of the guys performing at optimal level.
He wants better than he sees. That's what he wants. He wants a lot better than he sees from his offense right now. That's what he's saying in the nice terms. Some guys come out and they're ready to go. Others aren't ready to go. We're still a little sloppy. He wants a lot more than what he's seeing from the offense right now. And that's what he's letting you know. And he's not letting them know that way. You know how he's talking to them about what he sees from them. But he's looking for a lot more than what he's got right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And look, Steve Sarkisian's always going to have high expectations. And even if the offense was doing everything right, he'd still have that never satisfied kind of mindset. But yeah, sloppy. They had 4 turnovers in the scrimmage. There were some penalties that you didn't see in scrimmage number 1. It just didn't sound like as clean of an operation.
They didn't take the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like this Texas defense, I think it's elite. I think it's going to be one of the best in college football. It's not going to be easy for any offense to move the ball and put up points. So that's obviously the silver lining here. But, the scrimmage was 14 days from the start of the season. Like you said, we're now 12 days away from the start of the season. And it just feels like some of the similar conversations that we had at this time last year are conversations that we're having this time this year. Now, look, I think part of it is the fact that the entire left side of the offensive line is out right now. And Trevor Gooseby not out there makes a difference. Lawrence Seymour not out there makes a difference. So when you're that shorthanded with two expected starters not playing on the offensive line, that's obviously going to change things. I think Will Muschamp probably knows Steve Sarkisian's offense like the back of his hand right now. So he kind of knows the calls and what they're going to do. So that obviously helps when you have at least a bit of a beat on what the other team is going to do before the ball is snapped. So there's some other factors at play here. And again, I think the majority of Longhorn fans are fine, but I'm starting to sense with you and maybe some others that there's a little, here we go again, UTSD, not so good deja vu with that side of the football.
Yeah, I mean, I could just tell in his voice that he's worried about what he sees. I think, most of the times at this time of the year, the defense wins until you really set it up, that you're going to have some success. He's talked about the guys who scored touchdowns and all of that. But what he wants to see is consistent play. And the problem is it's hard to have consistent play when you don't have a consistent lineup. When your All-American left tackle's not in there and Seymour's not in there either, I mean, this was a struggle for this offensive line. And when you're missing two guys like that on your offensive line and you're going against that defense with a guy who's coming back and wants to prove something as a defensive coordinator, yeah, it's going to be tough. Your toughest days is going to be against your own team, possibly. So he doesn't want the sloppiness. No head coach wants the sloppiness from a team that's been sloppy over the last couple of years when it comes to offense. So he's just looking for better.
Yeah, and we'll all find out together what happens. Well, let me ask you this, because you mentioned that at this point the defense is usually ahead of the offense, but at this point, is that the case? Like, we know early on in the spring and early on in fall camp, the defense is always ahead. That's not just a Texas thing, but like fall camp is almost over technically. Obviously, there's still a bunch of practices between now and the start of the season, but Steve Sarkisian told us on Saturday, like, they're treating this like a game week. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is where the offense will have to tighten itself up a little bit. Everything isn't about a scrimmage. I mean, they go through segments in practice that, he expects to see his offense get the ball down the field. Certain plays where they're throwing the ball, screens and things like that. He wants to see, it doesn't have to always be in a scrimmage setting. It can be in a regular practice setting. This segment, we're doing this. We're in the scoring zone. I mean, you could be winning some of those battles, but it's not enough for the head coach right now. It's not enough wins for him right now when it comes to this offense. And the word sloppy, he wants to get rid of that word leading into game one.
Absolutely.
Against any defense. I don't care if he's playing against the Texans. He wants against any defense. He doesn't want to hear that means guys are still jumpy on the offensive line. That's the sloppiness he's talking about, BK. When a guy gets in there and takes a guy's place, guys are whiffing, things like that. That's the sloppiness that he's talking about. That kind of stuff, it's hard when you're behind the chains and some guy comes clean and he cold cocks your running back.
Yeah. Look, next Saturday at 2:30, Arch Manning could throw 5 touchdowns. Texas could run the ball for 300 yards, and then maybe this was all overblown. But I'd like to hear some more positives from QB1 and just Steve Sarkisian's offense as a whole.
I'd love to hear about the quarterbacks throwing 75% against this defense, against this secondary, and at practice. Tell us he's doing that at practice. We had throwing, in the scoring zone. He was through for 75% against that defense that's really good. Got rid of the ball. Guys got open. He made some things happen. Give us some of those Arch Manning deals where he's playing really, really well. We haven't heard a bunch of that yet. And it's like you said, it's not early into summer practice. Now we're about to get to the end of it. We're about to get, like you said, into game week.
Well, now I'm mad at myself because Steve Sarkisian was asked about Arch Manning's performance in Saturday's scrimmage in his post-scrimmage availability. And he talked for like 2.5 minutes, and I trimmed it down But Sark did say before the cut we're about to play that Arch did have a really good week of practice in between scrimmage number 1 and scrimmage number 2. So take that for what it's worth. I know some Texas fans are like, oh, we heard this last year, right? Arch would struggle on Saturdays in games, but we'd hear from Sark about how he was practicing really well. And early on, we didn't care because we didn't see it against other teams. But here was Steve Sarkisian talking about Arch Manning's performance in scrimmage number 2.
I felt like today, similar to last week at the start, a little bit inefficient. I feel like he could be better, but I love the way that he finished. I mean, two touchdowns there at the end in a highly competitive situation. Touchdown to Wingo, touchdown to Mosley. And so, I think he played, 50 some odd snaps today, close to, if not more. And had a few touchdown passes. I think there's some opportunities in there when he watches a tape. Scrimmage is always hard, where maybe he can use his legs more. And I think we all know the value of him using his legs, especially in some of those third down scenarios, fourth down even for that matter. But again, I was kind of thinking about this walking up to the press conference, and Arch is no different than the wideouts or the linemen or the DBs, the linebackers. I always have to remind myself that, we're nearly 3 weeks into camp, and we're a little fatigued. I'll be quite frank. That we're working hard, and those guys are working hard, and you could feel a little physical fatigue and maybe a little mental fatigue. I felt a little bit of that from Arch today, and that's not uncommon. And that's we're working hard. We're in the heat. We're pushing ourselves.
It's just what happens, and guess what? It's not acceptable to him. It just happens. I mean, your body starts to wear down. But this time of the practices in the summertime, it's freaking hot here. It's tiring. You got somebody in your ear telling you this, telling you that. After every throw you make, after every step you drop back and do, you can do this better. You can do that. I mean, it's all the time. It's going in your head, and you're dealing with that, and you're dealing with 150 degrees inside of that helmet with people in your ear. I mean, it's tough. But his expectations are too bad. It's hot for the head coach. It's like, it's still too sloppy. I don't care that it's hot. He's probably thinking, hell, I'm an old man. I'm out here. It's hot out here for me too.
So the question is, Buck, are you an optimist or are you a pessimist?
I'm an optimist.
Okay. If you're an optimist, then you're going to take Steve Sarkisian at his word. Like,
yes.
Oh, we played it earlier. It's 150 degrees on the field at DKR TMS on Saturday. And these guys have been practicing pretty much every day for the last 3 weeks, and they're hot and they're fatigued, and it's a lot that they've been going through. So, all right, maybe it's natural for a quarterback or one side of the ball to have a not so good day playing in those conditions. If you're a pessimist, like I've been known to be from time to time, sorry, can't help myself. It's, Steve Sarkisian said, I was thinking about this as I was coming up to talk to you guys. Like, is the head coach just, what excuse can I think of to describe my quarterback not playing very well today? You know what? He's tired. It's hot. We've been practicing a lot, and that's the issue. Like, that's the pessimistic way of looking at it is, damn, we're 2 weeks, but this is year 4 for the quarterback. Obviously, year 2 is the starter. I think we were all expecting, like, man, the way Arch Manning ended 2025, he doesn't need the spring. He's fine. Fall camp's going to be a breeze for him. He's going to pick up where he left off. Hell, he's going to be even better where he left off. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be dominating practice. He's going to be leading the team, and he's going to make Will Muschamp consider, like, retirement. Why did I take this job? This guy's so damn good. And then you've got, instead, my quarterback's a little tired right now. That's what's happening. So I just, again, it depends on if you're optimist or pessimist, how you look at it. But I
just like to know some of the. I think we want to know some of the battles that he's winning, and during regular practice. We don't get to go to practice, so we just, guys get to go see some scrimmage stuff. Some insiders get to go and watch that. But every day practice, some of these battles he's winning. His wide receivers are winning against, and the way he leads the team in certain drills and things like that. Those things are important. And so Sark sees those a lot. So he does win some battles. I mean, he's not just going out there and being crap. They're winning some battles, and practice matters. I know people say it's just practice, but that's 2 hours of being out there. And as I said, people are doing this. They're telling you this. They're constantly telling you what you're not doing right. They'll give you a little pat on the back. It's half the time you don't feel that good pat that's on your ass. Oh, nice throw or whatever. You only feel the ones where the coach hits you on the top of the helmet and says, "Did you really throw that ball? Did you see who was open over there?" Those are the ones that you don't feel the good ones. He's getting a little bit of everything. So I just think that I like to hear that he's doing okay. He's doing good. He's doing pretty good. Yeah, it's hot. Everybody's hot. We know that, Coach. We understand that. A lot of people have been around football, been a part of it. Yeah, it's hot. Everybody else is hot too. But that guy's your leader. That guy's supposed to have a lot more positives, I believe. But also, he's very careful on how he starts to blow smoke about this kid. Remember all the smoke that got blown up about him last year when in game one, number one team in the nation. He's going to be very careful on how he talks about Arch Manning, I believe.
That wasn't the head coach doing all of that last offseason. So I think that's
but he's going to be careful that he doesn't overwhelm people of, oh, he's this, he's that. He's doing some good things. I got to believe it's not all bad, guys.
No, it's not. It's not. And again, I'm on the record. I'm going to stay on the record. I still believe Arch Manning's one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and he's going to have a tremendous season. But we have not heard as many positive reports about him as I expected. I'll just say that. We've heard some about the leadership, about how he's practicing, about good plays that he makes. Again, it's always tough with these practice reports because it's like, if Arch was dominating every single day, people would be more excited about him, but it'd be like, well, how bad is the secondary? Why do we let Pete Kwiatkowski go? What are we doing here?
Of course.
Again, there's always some give and take here. But again, I'll say, I believe in Arch. I'm confident in him. I just thought, not just from the head coach, but from people I talk to, from what I read online, that it'd be more, oh man, this dude clearly has taken a huge step, and watch out. Like, he looks like he should be the Heisman favorite. He looks like the best quarterback in college football and a surefire number one overall pick next April. Thought it'd be a little more than that, than what it's been to this point.
Well, I'm glad that they've coming out of this second scrimmage without any injuries. It's once again, he's right. It is hot out there, and it's hot for the entire time that they're out there. And for this defense, it's good to hear they're playing this well. And hopefully in game 8, 9, and 10, they'll be still playing this well. And the offense will pick it up this. And it'll be nice to play against somebody a little bit different too. You're playing against some pretty good players on this defense. You're getting tested all the time.
For sure.
But once again, the real problem offensively last year was the way this offensive line played. And when you're missing those two dudes, dude, when you're missing that star left tackle and you're missing a guard there, it can't be good. You don't just put somebody in there and all of a sudden it's better than it was, that they've had struggles. There's going to be some struggles. I just hate to hear the word sloppy. That's, you and I we know what that means, sloppy. That means the P word.
Yeah, we'll get to more Steve Sarkisian sound and more scrimmage takeaways in a moment. I will say this about the P word. I don't know if this makes you feel any better. Most of the penalties were not pre-snap penalties. I think they played, I heard Sark say they played 120 plays on Saturday. I heard 2 pre-snap penalties. You live with that. Obviously, you prefer 0, but that many plays, that's fine. It sounds like there was a lot of grabbing, holding, pass interferences on defense. It wasn't just the offense that was sloppy, but more penalties in scrimmage 2 than there were in scrimmage 1, which, again, if your UTSD is flaring up like maybe ours is a little bit, and that worries you. But we'll get back.
The closer you get to the game, the more competitive it gets. Guys trying to play for playing time, they're going to clutch and grab. Offensive linemen are going to hold on to guys because they don't want some defensive guy. They don't want Colin Simmons putting his hand on the quarterback. So
that's not how you earn playing time if you are drawing penalties in practice, I don't think.
No, but you're going to do everything you can not to let that quarterback somebody have a free run to him. So you're going to do some things that you hopefully aren't going to do in games, but it just you're missing two good players. So that's, as I said, and that was a weak link last year. So if you're missing 2 of them, that sure doesn't help out the cause.
All right, we'll get back into this. More sound from Steve Sarkisian talking about the offensive line and some more positive takeaways from Saturday as well. But before we go any further, how about a few more sponsor shout-outs?
Folks, with my messed up back, getting the right support was very, very difficult for me for a long time. And then I met the folks over at Relax the Back. Live pain-free at Relax the Back, folks. You are going to love the things they have for you. Zero gravity recliners, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, pillows, and all kinds of great accessories to help your back, your shoulders, your neck, your lumbar area, your hips. Even before you start to get the pain, make sure that you have a chair that's comfortable. I've been in this one for over 20 years. I love this chair. I'm not looking for a new chair, but you may be looking for something that's going to give you the comfort that you deserve and that you need, and you can find that at Relax the Back. Two great locations. One is in BK's at the Hill Country Galleria, right across the street from Whole Foods. The other is in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the Buck at Relax the Back.
Oh, yeah. Good to be back in my Relax the Back chair
Oh, I bet.
well. And good to be back home to my AV Consultations TV setup. I'll tell you what, a little scary coming back home yesterday because, not to make this all about me, but I had lived in this home for 2 days before a 2-week-long trip that I went on. So there were a lot of boxes. There was a lot of crap all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of work to be done. Thankfully, y'all can't see most of it on camera. But it was really nice to come back home to a bunch of TVs mounted and set up and working. And that's all thanks to audio-visual consultations. Y'all think
You let those people come into your house? Those people?
Those people. I let them in my house. I think one of them even slept in a bed one night. No.
Oh, my God.
They don't do that to you. But I trust AV Consultation. Y'all think I'm kidding. I say it all the time. Like, no, the first call I make when I find out I'm moving is to Tom McKay because I got to get the TVs up. Everything. I don't even need a bed. I'll sleep on the damn floor. Just let me watch my sports. That's what AV Consultations can do for you. We are 0 Saturdays away from college football. Week 0 is this weekend. Obviously, the Longhorns open up play next weekend. You're running out of time to make the call to AVC to upgrade your home TV setup. Make your home the place to be for all of the football and the hockey and the postseason baseball and the basketball and everything else that's coming with AV Consultations. Just call them. We're customers. We're repeat customers. We know you will be too. 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. Or you can find out more online at avconsultations.com.
Love it. And if you're seeking that specialized, patient-focused orthopedic care, contact the experts and our friends at Texas Orthopedics. Their physicians offer comprehensive surgical and non-surgical orthopedic care for children and adults, rehabilitation, spinal care, sports medicine, joint replacement, and more. Dr. Danny, Dr. Stockton, they are dedicated orthopedic surgeons there, along with the other dedicated orthopedic surgeons there. And their goal is to get you right back into good health and the great quality of life that you deserve. Folks, Texas Orthopedics is the largest independent orthopedic practice in Central Texas. For more information, if you got to have that surgery, if you want the rehabilitation, for more information, please go to txortho.com.
Yes, indeed. And talked about it being good to be home. Well, I'm back home to my Altstadt beer.
There you go. What about the Samuel Adams? You didn't have any Sammy Adams?
They did have Sam Adams up there. And you know what I did?
What did you do?
Threw it into the hob.
There you go.
I ain't drinking that stuff. Come on, man. That guy wasn't even a president. You want me to drink his beer? No, thank you. I'm sticking with the Altstadt. That's all
President
I do.
Altstadt? Yes, of course.
Should be, for being honest with you. Love the Altstadt beer. Brewed locally in Fredericksburg. So every time you buy Altstadt, you're helping to support a local business. It's my choice. Should be yours as well. Mentioned it, football season right around the corner, which means the tailgates are back, the watch parties are back, or maybe just spending 11 hours kicked up on your couch watching football is back. However you enjoy the game, your watching is made better with the greatness that is Altstadt beer. Tons of brews, something for every beer drinker out there. The lager, that's the blue label. That's my personal favorite. It's an award winner, but so is the Kolsch. So is the Pilsner. So is the Hefeweizen. They've got a great light beer. Some of these other light beers out there, I don't know how people drink them. There's no taste whatsoever. It's not worth it. The Altstadt Light sacrifices on the calories. It does not sacrifice on the taste. I'm telling y'all, one sip and you will not go back to the other beers that you have been drinking in the past. It's the official beer of BK. It should be the official beer of you as well. It's Altstadt beer. No impurities, no regrets. Okay, Buck, some real quick, some interesting quarterback news to dive into. We've got one story out of college involving a team that the Longhorns will play this season, and one out of the NFL that I know was a big story for a lot of folks out there. But early this morning, the Tennessee Volunteers officially announced that true freshman Faison Brandon will open up the season as the Volunteers starting quarterback. Of course, Texas will travel to Knoxville week 4, the SEC opener on September 26th. It was a true freshman and a redshirt freshman competing for the starting gig for Josh Heupel. Faison Brandon, a 5-star, the 3rd overall recruit in the class of 2026. We talked to our guy Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered every Tuesday. He was kind of telling us that he believed Brandon was the leader in the clubhouse or the favorite to win the gig, and ultimately it is him. Now, Tennessee has 3 games before the Longhorns come to town, so maybe a change is made between now and then. But as it stands right now, Buck, the Longhorns will be seeing a true freshman in their first SEC game and their first road game of 2026.
Yeah, and he gets an opportunity to have, almost 3 preseason games before that happens. Well, not really.
You're sleeping on Tennessee. Some SEC teams have that, and he's got 2. Week 1, they've got Furman, and week 3, they've got Kennesaw State. But
yes.
Week 2, Tennessee plays at Georgia Tech. Not a horrible
team. That's going to be that'll be a good defensive battle right there for him. So after game 1, he's going to be put right into the fire in game 2, and he'll have a chance. By that time, he's either going to be the starter or they're going to make some changes after game 2 to go into Kennesaw. Yeah, so that's good for him. I'd like to see him in. I want to see a true freshman, not even a redshirt. Give me that true freshman any day.
He's a talented kid. Again, a 5-star recruit, one of the top QBs in the country, 6'3", 6'4", just over 200 pounds from Greensboro, North Carolina. Obviously, we'll all be paying attention to how he looks over the first 3 weeks, and we'll talk about him more as we get closer to that game. But a guy who had offers from pretty much every school in the country, a big get for Josh Heupel, and I'm sure part of the recruiting process was, hey, if you come here, you've got a chance to play right away, and that's exactly what is happening. So
Greensboro, not from Greensboro, probably Grimsley High.
I think that's it. Yep, Grimsley High.
Yep, Grimsley High. Yes, indeed.
I know you lived there for a little bit. Is that people who went there?
Yeah, I mean, between Grimsley, Johnson C. Smith, and Dudley High, there's been some pretty good players coming out, like Vince Evans that went to USC. There's a lot of players there. Greensboro has been pretty good with their high school football for quite a while. So and generally those kids don't get out. They don't get out of state, and they end up at North Carolina. So that's a pretty good get for them.
Yeah, Faison Brandon, by the way, in high school, it's high school, but 35-1 as a starting quarterback. Yeah. Nearly 9,000 total yards and 114 touchdowns. He committed to Tennessee before his junior year of high school. So shout out to him. Obviously, won't be rooting for him in week 4, but hard to find guys who commit that early and never waver in their commitment. It's a guy who actually understood the definition of the word commitment, and he is QB1 for the Vols this year. So I mentioned we had a college quarterback story, and we've got an NFL quarterback story as well. Buck, I know you are a huge Shedeur Sanders fan. Got some bad news for you. The Cleveland Browns have named their starting quarterback for week 1 against Jacksonville. It will not be Shedeur Sanders. It is Talboy Deshaun Watson.
No, really?
Yes. Todd Monken, the new head coach in Cleveland, has named Deshaun Watson, who, yes, is still in the league, the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, if anybody cares.
Wow. As bad as that guy has been, and as bad as he's played, Shedeur Sanders, and everybody thought, 5th-round draft pick, how could he go so, he's not drafted high enough. Well, there's the show you right there. He can't beat Deshaun Watson out, really?
And Deshaun Watson, don't forget, he is still on that 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract.
Maybe that's what they're trying to get their money out of him somehow, some way before they part ways with him. And if he's going to be their starting quarterback, they believe in something.
It's still, we won't spend too much time harping on it. This was like 2 years of my radio career was talking about Deshaun Watson when I was in Houston. But this guy was viewed as like a top 5 quarterback in football, and now he's barely beating Shedeur Sanders out for the starting gig in Cleveland. And a lot of people are saying, well, he only won the job because the Browns are trying to tank. That's how bad it has gotten for Deshaun Watson, and screw him. Not a great human being by any stretch. But yeah, that's your NFL.
All it does is show me how bad Shedeur Sanders is, really.
Yeah, I think we kind of knew that.
Yes.
But now I guess it is confirmed. So may just be Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, trying to save face for one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL that he made. One of the worst contracts given out in the history of the league. Maybe he's still trying to make up for that. I don't know, but that's
dude. They booed the hell out of Watson when he's in the first start. In the first, I think the first preseason, they booed the crap out of that guy. There was nobody in the stands, but they booed him anyway.
It's life has never been easy as a Browns fan.
Man,
and it's definitely not easy right now. So that's the guy you have to root for. I think most Brown fans, when the trade happened, were like, we really want this guy. But, when you're loyal to the laundry, you root for whoever's on your team, and that
just puts them in position to have that picking number 1 again. That's all.
Which, I want Arch Manning to have an amazing year, but maybe Dante Moore can have like a slightly better season.
Yeah, why not?
Number 1 to Cleveland instead.
Oh no, he'll get in a game where he throws 4 picks in a row or something.
Who's that? Dante Moore?
Yeah.
4 picks in a row?
I mean, we saw that with Oregon last year when the last time we saw him play. That didn't look very good.
That was against Indiana. Nobody really looked very good against them last season.
And they're better than the Browns defense anyway, huh?
I think so.
Probably.
Indiana beat the Cleveland Browns. Is that the new kind? It used to be Alabama under Nick Saban. Now is it Indiana under Kurt Cignetti? Is that what this thing has shifted to?
No, it's still not there. We're never there.
No, we're never
for a
there.
college team being an NFL team.
All right, so there's those 2 stories. We'll take your thoughts. We'll get back into some NFL conversation a little bit later. Evan Veith of Inside Texas will join us in about 15 minutes. We'll talk plenty of Longhorn football with him, but we'll dive back into the Longhorn conversation right now. Buck, you and I were talking about the Texas offensive line a little bit earlier. Obviously, yes. A lot of Longhorn fans in wait-and-see mode to see how that unit looks in 2026 after a very disappointing 2025. The defense won the day on Saturday, kind of dominating at times in the Longhorns' second scrimmage of fall camp. Again, Trevor Gooseby did not participate. Lawrence Seymour was there in pads, but he didn't really participate either. So the 2 projected starters on the left side of the offensive line did not do much of anything on Saturday. And Steve Sarkisian was asked about the left side of the offensive line and just how tough it is to build chemistry and build cohesion when 2 of your projected starters aren't on the field. Is that something that concerns Steve Sarkisian a little bit?
I would agree with you on that it's always great when you have that continuity for an entirety of training camp. But I also know that like Andre Kojo's getting some invaluable reps at left tackle right now. And if he goes into the season, which it's looking like as our 3rd tackle, the fact that he's getting these quality reps right now with the ones and having to block, Colin and Lance and Zena and these guys and, Raheem Biles coming off the edge. I think those are great opportunities for him. Naturally at left guard, it's been a pretty healthy competition. So the idea that, Dylan and Jackson are getting, 1 reps there at left guard. Lawrence will be back Monday. And we have had him back and kind of held him some, sure. But my idea was let's just rest him completely. Let's get him rehab and then get him back full steam on Monday. And Trevor, I think, is making really good progress. So I do think we're going to get the left side back. But on the same token, I do think these reps are good for these guys because, knock on wood, I don't know if, when, what, how, when injuries might occur in season. And the fact that these guys are getting some reps with our ones against high-level defenders, I think is good for them, preparing them for the season. So, again, I'm not naive. I would love to have, continuity, 5 guys all training camp long. I don't know how realistic that is, that guys aren't going to be down some. But at some point, we're going to want them all back, and we're going to want them all working well together. And I think part of that will start Monday when we get Lawrence back on Monday, and then we'll see when we can get Trevor back.
Yeah, I mean, he can't have it all. He understands that. I can't have it all. I got to say something about the fact that guys getting valuable reps that are backups, and maybe playing a lot in games in the SEC. He can only say that. But I know he'd be a lot more comfortable if both the tackle and the guard were playing, and he was kicking the living dog crap out of the defense in the run game. I'm sure he'd feel a lot more, secure and sleeping a little bit better at nights than he does with wondering about extra reps for guys. You know what I'm saying? That my backups are getting reps. That's all. That's the only thing you can say.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if it was like the same starting 5 on the offensive line from last year. And it's like, well, these guys already have a lot of chemistry together because they played a bunch of snaps together. So it's no big deal if these dudes are missing time. But
right.
Lawrence Seymour didn't get here until the summer. And I mean, Steve Sarkisian hasn't officially named him a starter at left guard yet. He's a guy who's only practiced here for a couple of weeks. And now he's already banged up, and he missed all the practice last week, and he's missing scrimmages. Trevor Gooseby individually, I think we all trust. He's one of the best offensive linemen in college football, but playing with a different left guard, playing with different tight ends. Again, the offensive line is completely different from what we saw around here a season ago. So, yeah, in a perfect world, you never have injuries. You really wouldn't have injuries on the offensive line, and those guys would have had more time to get to work together. And, Seymour's back today. That's great. But obviously we know Trevor Gooseby is not. So you're still a little bit shorthanded 12 days away from game 1.
Yeah. As long as that guy's not playing left tackle and he's still rehabbing, no, you're not better. Anything you can talk about guys getting reps all you want, but nobody's going to be better. They can get all the reps they want, but you won't have a better left tackle, period.
No,
than the guy that's better
left tackle in the country than the guy that's playing there. But I will say this, the practice reports, it's not just coach speak from Steve Sarkisian talking about Andre Kojo. Like, the praise about Kojo from insiders all over the place has been very strong. And obviously he's getting more of an opportunity with Trevor Gooseby out. Now, again, this is not a position battle. We all know how good Trevor Gooseby is, but it sounds like Andre Kojo is making the most of his opportunity. And for Steve Sarkisian to say he's our number 3 tackle, that's not nothing, because we didn't know that at this time a week or two ago. And I don't think Sark would have said that on the record if Andre Kojo wasn't practicing that well. It's a 4th-year player, 6'6", 340 pounds. He was competing for a starting spot on the Texas offensive line last year before he tore his ACL in fall camp. It sounds like he is making the most of his opportunity, and he is looking very, very good. So, yes, that is the bright side. Again, you obviously prefer nobody gets hurt. It's not like
he's your swing guy, BK, at like we said last week, at a lot of positions now, because he can be your 3rd tackle, so he can go play guard if he had to. And now he's healthy too. He's a healthy player. That's important too. He's getting lots of snaps.
I don't know if we can assume he would play guard, like if he was the –
well, I mean, if something happened where you just didn't have any more, or you just didn't have a guy that could play that position, then he's kind of got the ability. If he's out there at tackle, he can move in and do that. So he's one, and plus if he's healthy, that's the deal. It just sounds like there's a bunch of guys that got some nicks and banged up that they can't get them all in at one time. But that seems like a guy that if you talk to him and say, "Listen, I need you to play guard in this particular game," he'd go do it. No big deal.
Got you. Yeah. I think in case of an emergency, I don't know if he did the first guard off the bench, but I think he has worked at guard some during his Texas career. So I'm with you. Yeah, Texas.
I'm just glad to hear that he's not. There's no limitations on him. He's just playing football now.
You're right. Yeah, and again with I think of CJ Baxter, and I think of Derek Williams Jr., and these are maybe apples to oranges comparisons. Every injury is different, and we're talking about guys who play different positions. But and I guess we're still talking about practice reports. We haven't really seen Andre Kojo in a game yet.
Right.
But yeah, some guys coming off a major ACL injury, it takes them a couple of years to get back to where they were. Some guys never get back to where they were. Again, practice reports, take them for what you will, but it sounds like Andre Kojo is very much back to the guy that he was, maybe even better than pre-injury, and that's depth on the offensive line is never a bad thing.
Not with this group.
If you got guys getting hurt in practice, again, that position, it could very much happen during an actual game over the course of what we hope is a very, very long season. Hearing positive things about some of those second-team guys, good news.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to even hear more about some of the younger guys that are really making progress. That, hey, in a pinch, they can go in a couple series during the course of a game. I'm not talking about Texas State. I'm talking about in the SEC games. Are they getting? How good are they getting? But no, he would like to tell you that. No, we got 5 guys. We feel pretty good. Wouldn't he love to say that? Wouldn't the head coach like to say they're all good, man? We're good. We got some good backups. He just can't say it right now. Hell, he hadn't got 5 of them on the field yet together.
All right. One more from Steve Sarkisian. I think this is, Sark spoke after the first scrimmage, and he spoke last week, but I think this is the first time we've really heard from Steve Sarkisian since the diagnosis of Trevor Goosby's injury. Again, we know that it's a bone bruise. The projected timeline was 2 to 3 weeks. You heard Sark talking about, expecting to have Trevor Goosby back. He didn't give an official timeline, but it sure sounds like the head coach is confident that Goosby will be ready to go for week 1 of the season. Sark was asked over the weekend if he breathed a bit of a sigh of relief when he found out the diagnosis was only what it was for his All-American left tackle.
I did. I was glad I went to church, I was because his, when he got injured in practice, it was non-contact, and those are probably more scary than contact injuries, because why did that occur non-contact? Why did he, kind of buckle the way that he did? We were on grass. It wasn't during the day. It wasn't too hot where like he didn't have his balance. So yeah, I was obviously very concerned and one for Trevor, because, he had an opportunity to leave a year ago. He decided to stay, and he's got, a bunch of aspirations of playing in the NFL, and he's got high draft grades right now, 2 for our team. He's an invaluable member of our team, not only as the player at left tackle, but the leader, what he represents. You never want to lose any player, but a player of that caliber in our conference at that position, that's pretty critical. So the fact that we got the news that we got, that was as good as news as we could have received. And so for that to be the result back, it was definitely a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I'm going to say that guy, the way things are going, he'll be ready for game 1 if they decide to do that. But in game 1, it can't be one of those, well, he's 80%. He's got to be, 95% ready to go and ready to play. It can't be there. It can't be there. Oh, his 80% is better than whoever he's going to be against. They're 100%. Now, he has to be ready to go. You can't have him out there with any possibilities. Now, anything can happen. That guy could be 100% and still fall the wrong way or get that knee hit again, and that bruise turns into another bruise. So there's no guarantees. As Stark says, just guys on air, when those knees buckle, you've been working out and you've been doing things, you got no pressure on you, but you take a bad step and all of a sudden your knee buckles. That's the one that scares everybody. Why would that happen,
Yeah. I think we'll see Trevor Goosby game 1 and play 1 against Texas State. My question is, how much do we see him in that game? Like, is it
2 series?
The 2 series, is it all right? Like when we take the other starters out, if we've got a big lead in the second half, that's when Trevor Goosby will come out. Like, what's the workload? Is it the same for him as it is Arch Manning, or is it like, let's just get the guy some actual game experience and take him out before anything could potentially happen to him? That's what I think is left to be answered.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the head coach and the doctors and all that stuff, and the kid himself. That kid's going to want to play. If the doctor says he's good to go, that guy's going to want to play all the snaps he can play in game 1. That's just the way that works. And I know they all know about their potential, but there's very few of them that play on the offensive line that'll say, no, I'm ready to come out. That's enough for me. They generally go, no, man, I'm playing. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, we'll chop it up with Evan Veith of Inside Texas. We'll get his thoughts on Trevor Goosby and everything that went down with Texas football over the weekend. But before we do that, Buck, how about a few more sponsor shout-outs?
We're good friends over at Woods Comfort System. Well, they've been serving Central Texas for 71 years, folks. when it comes to air conditioning, heating, and now plumbing. If you have reoccurring drain clogs, and that's really a sign of bigger problems. That means you got some bigger problems going on in your system. Let Woods Comfort Systems help you get to the source, proudly serving San Marcos, Kyle, and Wimberley. Their experienced team will come out, clear all the stubborn clogs, and identify what the problem truly is. And for $70, folks, they'll clear up that drain. They'll have their free camera inspection. Give them a call today at 737-251-6199. That's 737-251-6199. That's Woods Comfort Systems. Nobody does it better.
No, they do not. Love our friends at Woods Comfort Systems. Also, shout out to our friends at Roger Beasley Mazda South, the #1 Mazda dealer in the state of Texas. Of course, part of the Roger Beasley Mazda family. It's been serving Central Texas for 55 years and counting. But Roger Beasley Mazda South, about 30 straight Mazda President's Club awards. You don't get that for nothing. This is a dynasty here. These guys and gals do it the right way. They treat people right. They've got an incredible selection of vehicles. Their showroom is absolutely gorgeous, and they want your business. I've been driving around the all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5, back in Austin now. Got back in that thing yesterday, Buck, for the first time in a while. I'm not getting it back. I'm telling you right now, Brett, and the team at Roger Beasley Mazda, you're not getting that back. Sorry, it's mine now. That thing is beautiful. I love it. It looks great. Super reliable, of course. It's a Mazda. Super safe, of course. It's a Mazda. But it's like driving a luxury car, and you don't pay a luxury price to get one. Mazda is the brand that you need to look for. You see them all over Central Texas with good reason. Again, the reliability, the safety, all of their SUVs are equipped with all-wheel drive standard. You don't have to pay extra for safety. They want you safe on the road. You're going to love what you drive if you get it from Roger Beasley Mazda South. Of course, they'll take your trade-ins as well. They've got new, they've got pre-owned, they've got everything. Go see them off of I-35, just south of Highway 71. It's Roger Beasley Mazda South.
And of course, I will not be playing golf this week, but that doesn't mean I won't be taking that early bird CBD, because that means if I'm not on the golf course, I'm going to be doing something dumb out here on my property with a wheelbarrow and stones and dirt or something, with this heat. So I got to make sure that I take that early bird CBD so that I will feel fantastic throughout the day, into the next day, and into the day after that, which the early bird CBD has worked for me since I started taking it. I'm taking the drops. I'll take it so I'll hydrate well, but I'll put the drops inside of that and I will feel good. And so far now, BK, I'm guaranteeing with my body that early bird CBD has worked every time now.
There we go. Love it. Earlybirdcbd.com. I take the gummies. The Buck loves the drops. You'll love it too. Earlybirdcbd.com, promo code Bucky for 20% off your first order. All right. This guy understood the assignment. I see him in the waiting room wearing a white T-shirt. Apparently it's white T-shirt day.
Yeah, baby.
On Bucky and BK. But joining us now to talk all things Texas Longhorn football, the great Evan Veith of Inside Texas, InsideTexas.com, and the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Evan, thanks as always for the time, my man. How are you today?
Yeah, one thing I'm missing is the white hat, right? That's the Longhorn hat in particular. But we're
we'll have to get to Sue Patrick and make sure you get one of these, brother.
I could have grabbed the Inside Texas. I'm not a hat guy. I could have grabbed my Inside Texas hat, but here we are.
Yeah.
Well, you're a guy with a full head of hair. Unlike us, we don't have full heads of hair, so we have to show our sponsors, and we want to show that underneath there is still something up there. Absolutely nothing, but we pretend.
Evan's still in his 20s. He doesn't have to worry about those problems that us old folk, Buck, you and us old folk have to deal with. Well, Evan, so much to dive into, and something unexpectedly that Texas has to deal with is the dismissal of Anthony Smith, the third-year linebacker. Played more than 400 snaps for the Longhorn defense last year, was obviously a big part of special teams as well, expected to have a pretty big role in Will Muschamp's defense. There were some rumblings, but obviously we found out Friday afternoon and into the weekend that Anthony Smith has been dismissed from the Texas Longhorns. Just your thoughts on that. What are you hearing there, and what do you think it means for the Texas Longhorns at linebacker in 2026?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate loss. This was someone who played really well to end the season. I think of the Michigan game where he had 2 interceptions in particular. Wasn't a starter last year, but started 2 of the last 3 games or 3 of the last 4 with the Anthony Hill injuries and, of course, the portal for the Citrus Bowl. So a player that was going to matter. And I think a lot of people, you think of players that played in year 2 but didn't start entering year 3. That's usually a pretty big jumping point. But same thing with year 3 and year 4. So Smith was the kind of guy who you were hoping would not only take a little bit of a jump this year, but also, I mean, I look at this Texas linebacker room and it's seniors and then freshmen and not really much in the middle. So this was someone who felt like he would start this year or at least be a rotational guy with how well Juice Cryers played it, and then he'd be a for sure starter next year and a veteran on the team. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a loss. And at a room that I think people were a little scared of the depth there, and now you're getting even lighter. I will say I'm not that concerned about the 2 deep itself, right? Cryer and Biles is probably just going to be the starting duo anyway, and then Brad Spence, Tyler Atkinson, I can get behind that as my backup linebackers, especially if Atkinson can kind of do a lot of the easy work at linebacker of early down, go run and get the ball. Go find whoever the ball carrier or the quarterback is, or maybe in the middle of the game to spell Biles a little bit. Where I'm concerned is deeper into the season, right? I don't think this is going to be a big issue week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, but come November, if there's injuries in this room, players are banged up, maybe someone's not playing up to the level you'd hope for, there's just not a lot of options after that. I mean, once you get past Atkinson, and even with Atkinson, it's freshmen. I mean, it's Rocky Cummings, Kosio Paula, who good players, probably not ready to play in the SEC in year 1. So it's a clear knock on this room. One that I was already a little bit concerned about with the depth of it, and now I think week 2 against Ohio State, it's not going to show up that poorly. Biles is just going to be playing a lot of football anyway. Same with Cryer, but how is that going to look when LSU and Missouri are coming around? That's what I'm looking out for.
Well, it's by that time, if you get to that part, some of those star freshmen just have to step up. They won't be freshmen, just like everybody says, in all positions. They're not freshmen any longer. But how much playing time will they get early? That's the problem. How are those young guys going to get in games? Well, you expect them to get in game 1 probably, but 2 and 3 and then 4 when you play at Tennessee. Are they going to be playing by then? That's what worries me. Do they get an opportunity to play against another team, not just against themselves?
I see a clear break in the schedule for Texas, which kind of impacts every position. It's not just a linebacker discussion, but you get Tennessee and then a bye and then Red River. And it always feels like with every Red River for both teams, Oklahoma and Texas, that something a little different comes out of the game plan or the personnel usage. One player is prioritized a little bit more. Freshman, I think of Lance Jackson last year, like he really took a step up in playing time and effectiveness against Oklahoma. So I could see it where Texas is very, very cautious with their rotation the first 4 weeks of the year, where like thinking of Trevor Gooseby, play him week 2 and week 4, but not week 1 and 3, and let him have a bye, and he only has to really play 2 games in a 5-week span. That would be optimal. Linebackers, similar thing. Biles and Cryer have to play pretty much the full game. Same with Spence. You've got to play a lot of nickel against Ohio State and Tennessee, and if that's fine against Tennessee, if Ohio State's going to run the ball really well, that's a lot of pressure on Grayson Littleton. But then once we get to the Oklahoma game, that's where I'm a little bit more open to. How has Atkinson progressed? Has he kind of graduated from what you were kind of alluding to, Bucky? Not quite a true freshman anymore. He's just a young player on the team who's looking to get a little bit more polished. Is he going to be someone that they invest a little more playing time into against Oklahoma? Other position rooms, it might be the same thing. Like a defensive back, is that where a Jonah Williams starts getting a little more play? You played a little safer with your starters, let Williams and McDonald play pretty much the whole game against Tennessee on the road, SEC, tough environment. But then once you get to that middle of the year, you're playing either in Dallas, which is comfortable for this team, or at home through that Missouri game. So that's where I think there's a clear chance for multiple positions, but including linebacker, a clear ascension point in snaps. Before that, you play it safe, in my opinion.
Evan Veith of Inside Texas and InsideTexas.com joining us here on Bucky and BK. Maybe an impossible question to answer, Evan, but we've seen Steve Sarkisian dip into the transfer portal this close to the start of a season before, getting running back Velton Gardner out of SMU in 2024 after a couple of injuries that the Longhorns had in that running back room. Is that a possibility? I can't imagine there's any real impact players still out there, but hell, now it feels like you could just go grab a guy from the NFL if you want. Do you think Texas is at least kicking the tires on some potential linebackers, or do you think they're going to keep things in house and hope that what they have is enough?
Well, as you say, the NFL, it's starting to look like Ethan Burke is not going to be a practice squad UDFA level player. I mean, he was tearing it up for the Ravens. Not really, it would be a position of luxury to add Ethan Burke. Are you kidding me? Getting even deeper on the D line, but I doubt it. I think that, you remember the Velton Gardner thing? It was 2 injuries that really spanned that, and he played a few snaps and had an eye issue that made him really not play much at all that year. So they kind of already did it, right? Like they spent the spring doing those kind of random load up players. Darius Snow, 8th-year player, 7th-year player from Michigan State. You don't want to have to use him, but just in case, this is a guy with experience. They did it with O-line Paris Patterson from SMU, a big kind of Kyle Flood player. So they've already done it the two positions that you'd assume they'd probably dip their toes into. I'd say bar an injury to someone like Spence Biles or Cryer, there's no reason for them to go and get a linebacker. Feels like a little bit redundant. And how many of these guys are going to be better than Rocky Cummings and Kosi Okpala right now? I mean, maybe marginally, but does it really matter to go and get a guy? I don't think it's necessary. There was one last player who was really notable left in the portal, at least of like remaining guys who had eligibility from this 22 case, and it was outside of Daquan Wright, but who was never coming to Texas. The linebacker from James Madison, who was an all Sun Belt guy, but goes to UCLA playing for his old coach, of course. I mean, that makes sense. So outside of him, he would have been the only one. Hendricks, I believe is his name. He would have been the only one I think Texas would have gone for, and it seemed pretty clear he was going to UCLA from the jump.
Evan, I mean, this will be the last day for me anyway about a kid like Smith who's been dismissed from the team. It's got to be something that it's not just on first notice to the kid that, if you do it again. I mean, this has got to be something that's happened again and again. And when the head coach dismisses you this late, in the proceedings before your football season starts, it had to be something that's totally detrimental to everybody, coaches, players, the university. It didn't sound like it was something off the field. It just sounded like, some, subordinate stuff that you say. You got to watch what you say. It's not always about what you do. You can say the wrong things too in a setting like this. And it sounded like his expectations that he was going to be next up, and he found out that he was, not playing, not scrimmaging, and he was in a battle and may have said the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot went wrong for Anthony Smith in the offseason. Some of it might have been his fault. Some of it might not have been. You had to go do a surgery, right? And that takes you back. You come into the spring, and
Sure.
Suddenly you can't play football with a new defensive coordinator. So, like, does Will Muschamp owe him anything? No. And that's kind of my general statement on this is that Anthony Smith he had to earn that linebacker spot, the starting spot alongside Raheem Biles. And if you can't do that, then Will Muschamp doesn't owe you that position just because you ended the year off well with a different defensive coordinator. So, you recover from surgery and you miss out on an important spring for you. And the linebacker, who's kind of an underrated ad from the portal, comes in and plays really well. And still in the summer, I mean, we were keeping tabs on it. He was a player that we noted, like, he's a little underweight. Like, he was still listed, I think, 218 or something like that. And you can't be a Mike linebacker at 218. And maybe it happens with players like this where they recover from injury and suddenly in September, October, they're back to 230, 235. Sure. Fine. But if he wasn't there and Cryer was playing well, there was no reason for Muschamp to say you are starting. And if there's ego that comes with that and you feel entitled to that kind of thing and you're lashing out, say in the locker room, but maybe just with the coaching staff or whatever, again, it's a privilege to earn NIL money and to play at this level of college football. It's short-sighted from him. I mean, worst case scenario, you play and have a decent year and transfer to a good school next year. Best case scenario, you do earn your starting spot, and right. That's that. It's just short-sighted. It was not the right move. Whatever in particular he did, we're probably never going to get the full news and the full story on that, but it doesn't sound like it was something that Steve Sarkisian wanted to do, was dismiss a player like that from the team. It had to have been something that was impactful enough, and Sarkis talked so much about the culture this offseason. He acknowledged that he messed up last year. This is something where he's got to put his foot down at a certain point, and it probably reached that point.
Yeah. Well said. Evan Veith of Inside Texas and InsideTexas.com joining us here on Bucky and BK. All right, Evan, now the $1 million, the $6 million, $10 million, whatever Arch Manning's NIL valuation is today, question for you, because Saturday, scrimmage number 2, the Texas defense won the day again. Steve Sarkisian told us as much. You guys reported it on Inside Texas. Now, it's not like the offense didn't do anything right on Saturday, but the defense appears ahead of the offense right now, and that's the second straight off season where that's kind of been the case. Starting to sense some Longhorn fans getting a little nervous about Arch Manning maybe not taking the step that people hoped he would take. Are you at all worried about Arch Manning, or do you think maybe some of this stuff is being overblown right now?
It's funny, BK. I was thinking about it. This was probably the worst week of the offseason for Longhorn fans, and I couldn't really come up with a second because there weren't any major injuries, and most things that came up in the spring got dealt with. Maybe the first week of the offseason when they didn't get Jaden Baugh, if you want to count that, but then Cam Coleman came right after. There's some good commitments. So, it's something that I'm tapped into, right? I didn't think that the 101 praise for Arch was necessary last year, and obviously kind of caught up to Texas early on. But I think it's fair to say you are the projected first overall pick. You are top 3 in Heisman odds, no matter what market you look at. You have already played your year as the starter. It's year 4. You are a 5-star. We should be holding him to high expectations. And that's the point, is that we're holding him to high expectations, which he's earned the right to be held to. But now it's also, you got to show it on the field. And so I don't think that he having turnover problems in practice before the season is going to end up being a big concern. I think it's going to be one of those things where we look up, once we hit that bye week before Oklahoma, we'll go, you guys remember when we were talking about that? Arch Manning being a turnover guy? Because remember last year, he had 7 total turnovers. I think 1 to end that final 4 or 5 game spot. So he kept the ball out of harm's way a lot. Now, he threw some turnover-worthy throws that didn't end up getting intercepted, but quite a few of his picks were just bounced off the player's arms, and that's not his fault. What I'm concerned about is we're not hearing about the consistency in the down-to-down, the shorter passes. You hear all the reports about him throwing the ball deep, but we're still like, can Arch Manning just do the easy? Can he hit those screen passes even, just mesh concepts, stuff 5 yards down the field instead of the ones that are difficult and 20 yards down the field, and he has to maneuver the pocket. So, remember, when they say there's 4 turnovers in practice, not all of them are Arch Manning interceptions. That's not how the equality of it works. And if he threw 1 interception, there was a fumble, that's a bit of a concern. But if it was 1 interception to him and then the rest of the team had their own issues, that's not an Arch Manning problem. That's just an offense getting bested by the defense. This could be the best defense in the country. I don't think it'll be the number 1, but they're going against a really, really good team in practice. So I'm going to hold out. At this point, I've kind of hit we're at week 0 already. There's no point in having these kind of big, super, overarching ideas changing about how I feel about these players. How I feel about the Texas Longhorns is not going to change between now and Ohio State, most likely.
Well, I think the real problem is the main problem last year was the offensive line. But you still don't have them all together yet. So that was a big problem last year. It's still a big problem now. Until they are all together, then you're going to feel better about it. Things will go a little bit smoother. But until you get rid of that, and you may not. I mean, when will those guys? I mean, you're not going to have your left tackle until the first game or the second game. Your guard is still banged up. The guy that you're expecting to move right in there and everything was going to be smooth, he's not there yet. He's still banged up. So it's not like the main problem has gone away. The main problem is still there. It's the offensive line.
Well, and then that's to my point. Like, I'm not going to change how I feel about the team. I'm still going to be concerned about the offensive line no matter what we hear over the next 2 weeks. And I at least hope that we see them look like the superior team against Texas State, because they didn't do that last year in out of conference. I mean, they were getting pushed around a little bit by a San Jose State kind of team. So either way, I'm going to have concern about the left guard spot because it's just been too late for there to be so much rotation. I mean, we're still hearing about 4 or 5 different guys starting at that spot. And I think some people's number 1 pick, Andre Kojo, is now stuck playing left tackle, which I'm feeling good about him being the left tackle and out of conference. Against Ohio State, they can make it work. The nice thing is that Ohio State does not have these twitchy, game-breaking edge rushers, and they don't even have an Arvell Reese like they did last year. They have good athletes, good players. Both of their DNs are 6'6", 275 types. That's where it's nice having Andre Kojo. Just a big, good with his feet, but more than anything, a burly, strong guy to keep the edge set and keep Arch Manning in a pocket that's clean enough. So that's where I'm not that concerned if Kojo has to play against Ohio State, but the left side of the line in general, not knowing what we've got at left guard, that does concern me.
Yeah, and we'll see if it gets figured out between now and the start of the season, 12 days from now. Evan Veith of Inside Texas joining us here. Evan, my last question for you today, something you wrote about over the weekend, the Texas freshmen. I know you touched on the linebackers. Obviously, a lot of folks paying attention to Tyler Atkinson, Kosi Okpala, and Rocky Cummings, but the new bag of toys that Steve Sarkisian has to work with now that we're this far into the offseason. Your thoughts on not only the freshmen who are going to play against Texas State, we hope all of them play at least some against Texas State, but your thoughts on some of the guys who might be good enough and ready enough to make an impact when the Longhorns take on Ohio State 19 days from today.
Yeah, I made a little mistake in my article I had to change because I missed the Nick Townsend singular snap against Ohio State. So 4 players played 29 snaps, 4 true freshmen last year, week 1 at Ohio State. And that was 19 snaps to Grayson Littleton. Texas wasn't a lot of heavier personnel against the Ohio State 12 personnel. So Littleton didn't play as many snaps. And then McCutcheon had 2, Lance Jackson had about 7. I think there's another quartet of Longhorn freshmen that are going to play against Ohio State and at least make an impact throughout this SEC year. I mean, Jermaine Bishop and Derek Cooper are just too good to keep off the field for a full game. it's nice to have 3 options at running back. I think Texas would like to be 3 deep at a running back spot. So it's going to be the Smothers and Brown show for that first game. But Cooper will have a few touches, I think. I think he'll get a chance to come in the game. And, middle of the game, that middle 8, maybe third quarter, before you really need to lock in and get your best guys out there for the entire fourth, that's where he could play. Jermaine Bishop, and Sark talked about it, he's earned the chance to get a few design plays. And he's earned their confidence. They've said how confident he is in himself. Kind of a true ball player, true gamer asset that you have. And so I think Texas will run 5 wide receivers. I don't know how many snaps it's going to be for Bishop, but I could guarantee you there's going to be at least 2 or 3 plays where they are single-handedly just the ball's going to Jermaine Bishop. Let's see what that gives us. And I think they should do that. That's a different type of player than they have on the starting 3 wide receiver spots. So we'll see about those 2. I think they will play. On defense, it probably won't be that high a snap count, but Tyler Atkinson and Richard Wesley should and probably will play against Ohio State. Just a few snaps. It doesn't have to be a ton, similar to the way Lance Jackson played last year. Atkinson on the 2 deep, Wesley on the 2 deep as it stands right now. Colin Simmons is going to play a lot of this game. He's probably going to have the highest snaps of any defensive lineman, but he can't play 90% of the snaps. If there's a down where they can put Wesley in and let him just be a pure pass rusher, I think that would be a good experience for him. And it only has to be 3 or 4 or 5 snaps, but I think those 4 will play, and then definitely that's the quartet who Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Florida, those games, they're going to play a good amount, and they'll need to be healthy and ready to go because it's a long season, hard schedule.
Yeah, well said. Buck, any more?
Nope, that's good for me.
All right, Evan, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate your time. Good insight on Anthony Smith, the linebacker situation, and everything going on with the Texas football team right now. Before we let you go, as always, want to give you the opportunity to promote everything you guys have going on at IT right now.
Yeah, InsideTexas.com. We've got a really good sale going on through fall camp. 75% off for new members. A little shameless plug right there, but go check it out if you aren't a subscriber. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Evan Veith. Going to be dropping some stuff today from the Sark availability, writing a little bit about the schedule. So make sure to check me out.
Hey, it ain't shameless if we ask you to do it. All
no,
right?
Don't be ashamed, my man.
Yeah, it's great stuff. You should be promoting it.
Plug in the deal. Had to.
That's awesome. Evan, you're the man, brother. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, guys.
There he goes. Evan Veith, Inside Texas, InsideTexas.com. You heard him. Follow him on Twitter at Evan Veith, doing a great job covering the Texas Longhorns. And obviously some thoughts on the Anthony Smith situation, what Texas does at linebacker. It sounds like, at least according to Evan, the Longhorns are going to keep things in the house and roll with what they've got. But again, I don't want to be asking people about, do we need to add to the roster this close to the start of the season? But that's unfortunately where we're at when a key player gets dismissed from the team.
I mean, hey, I just go to a pro camp. You got a 5th year. Did you go do 5 years in college? If you didn't, we need you.
Well, we're talking about that story in the BBK News in a moment.
That is crazy, man.
That is crazy. But before we get to that, Buck, did you hit all of your sponsors?
Yeah, you need to go to a little sleep center there.
Yeah, Sleep Cycle Center.
A good doctor.
The great doctor, Dr. Chad Denman, and his great team over at Sleep Cycle Center. 2 Austin area locations. If you have trouble sleeping, if you're a snorer, if you're a snorer, don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to us. If you snore, or if you have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, if you feel tired throughout the day, I'm not talking at like 4:55 p.m. when you're just ready to go home. I'm talking like 10:55 a.m. and you're like, I just got to work. Why am I something's wrong with your sleep? And that's no joke. Don't play around with your sleep. It's the most important thing that you do in this life. You need to recharge. You need to reset. And if your sleep ain't where it needs to be, it's not just annoying. It could be the sign of a serious health problem. More than 22 million Americans have undiagnosed sleep apnea. You're not alone, but that could be you. If you're worried about your sleep, or if your partner is complaining about your sleep, or if a kid, whatever, somebody in your life isn't sleeping right, go see our guy, Dr. Chad at Sleep Cycle Center. 2 Austin area locations, one up north, 183 and Breaker, the other in Lakeway off of 620. SleepCycleCenters.com for more free consultations for listeners of this show. Also, you'll get $100 off an at-home sleep study if you tell them you heard about them right here on Bucky and BK. Shout out to our friends at Sleep Cycle Center. And also McCall Custom Homes. Oh, yeah. Our guy, Mike McCall, his great team at McCall Custom Homes. Custom home builders and renovators here in Central Texas. If you've been thinking about that dream home, stop thinking. Start doing. reach out to McCall Custom Homes. It's not like you have to do the work. All you have to do is call Mike and his great team, and they'll handle the rest. A+ rated by the BBB. Tons of 5-star reviews online. They've been around. They are going to stay around. They know what it takes to turn a Central Texas home into something truly special. So whether it's starting from square one or you've got a place that you like but you really want to love it, reach out to the best there is. McCallCustomHomesATX.com. That's their website. Or you can call or text our guy Mike. Great dude, good friend of ours, big Longhorn fan. Reach out to him, 512-633-9580. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Sweet.
All right, Buck, the BBK news combined with
where are we at in society today?
Oh, boy.
Where are we at in college sports today? How's this for a headline from over the weekend, Buck? Agents, Daquan Wright to be waived by Cleveland Browns, set to join LSU. Yeah, that's real. This is not The Onion. The Cleveland Browns are waiving tight end Daquan Wright, who has an agreement in place for the 2026 season to play for LSU if he clears waivers. Wright is believed to be the first player to have an agreement to return to play in college after signing with an NFL team as an undrafted free agent. He signed with the Eagles originally after the draft, was released, was claimed by the Browns on waivers on August 11th. He has not played in either of the Browns' 2 preseason games. He hasn't been practicing either. He apparently has been dealing with an injury. Last Wednesday, while he was still on the Browns, he entered the transfer portal for college football while there was a group of athletes in the state of Louisiana who filed a lawsuit looking for a temporary restraining order to return to college for one more season. And Daquan Wright, who played for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss the last 2 seasons, is leaving the NFL and going to play college football for LSU. At least that's what seems like is going to happen, Buck.
Yeah, let's just see how unhurt that guy will be here in a week or so. He'll be so healthy and ready to go when he gets to LSU. That guy it sounded like he was just waiting to get back to college for another year.
Well, are you not worried about him missing the first couple of days of classes in Baton Rouge? Don't you think?
Well,
behind schedule
at Notre Dame, they can't take any of those players because classes. Their head coach said, "Well, we can't do that here at Notre Dame because our process has already started for school, and we can't take on any of them." Which says to me, if you could, you mean you would, wouldn't you, Coach?
Yeah, well, LSU stands for Lost Shame University because
they have no shame whatsoever.
None of that. Football, basketball, it doesn't matter. I mean,
coaches coming back.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin and Will Wade, not 2 of the cleanest college athletics coaches of all time. And again, it goes back to a conversation we've had this offseason. Do you hate the player or do you hate the game? Now, you're allowed to hate both. You're allowed to be bothered by this story. But LSU, they are seeing that there's a loophole in the system right now. They are seeing that nobody's going to stop them if they decide to do this. So they are doing it in an effort to win games and make more money for their university. Now, have some shame. My hope is like a Greg Sankey, because clearly no one at LSU is going to do this. The NCAA doesn't have much power. We kind of saw it with Brendan Sorsby. One thing I'll give Brett Yormark credit for, he kind of was like, all right, we got to do something about this Brendan Sorsby thing because this is ridiculous. So maybe it's Greg Sankey who steps in and says, dude, you signed with 2 NFL teams. You've been practicing with NFL teams. You cannot play college football again. Your time is done. Maybe there's still a way where he doesn't play, but as it stands right now, it's hard to not feel like Daquan Wright isn't going to play considering what's been happening in college athletics this offseason.
Yeah, and when does it continue to move on? I mean, we got another week. The football season will have started in college football, and they'll be coming down to those last cuts. Are we going to have guys just joining teams all over the place in college football week 2, week 3?
Maybe.
It's amazing.
That's a good point, right? The NFL season starts after the college football season. Hell, I mean, dude, guys get waived and released in the NFL during the season.
Yes.
So,
I mean, like I said,
we're going to play college football last year. It's like, well, he gets cut in week 4. then could he go back to college midway through the season and play? I don't know. Like it sounds so ridiculous and ludicrous. Like, why would you bring that up? I don't think anything's off the table at this point. Do you?
It's just so out of hand now. It's just we're going to follow it.
There are
We're gonna love
NFL players who are asking to be released so they can play college football. Like, it used to be the dream. Like, yeah, college is great, but you go to college because you had to do that to go to the NFL. Now there are guys who are like, I'd rather be in college than be in the league.
Yeah, and how do these guys still have all this NIL money hanging around for these guys to just pop out of nowhere? I mean, it's, if you're on an NFL roster or close to it, it's like, wait a minute, I got a call from my old head coach at such and such college. They've got $3 million waiting for me if I decide to come back. I'm going to try to get cut. I don't want to be on this team.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the minimum here. I could go back to college for one more year and make $3-4 million and come back to the NFL the following year and make it on a team.
I don't know how much money Daquan Wright's making. I mean, as a UDFA, I don't think his NFL contract is a lot. Maybe this is less about money and more so like, well, if I have a great year in the SEC at LSU, then I can actually get drafted in the NFL next year and make more money on my first pro contract. I don't know. I mean, Wright's a good player. This is not just a random roster.
No, it's not.
Like, he had 39 catches, 635 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns last year at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin. So he knows Lane Kiffin's system. He's got production. He's 23 years old. Like, he would play. I know. But look, I think LSU would take Jeffrey Epstein at this point if it meant they.
Oh, they're ridiculous. They're going to buck the system no matter what. If they're close enough, they're going to do it. If it's just borderline, we're going to take a chance. The university itself, the president, everybody, the faculty, they don't care.
Once he clears waivers, he's free to go back to college. That's a real sentence in a real story in 2026. Buck, what are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we doing, man? Make this stop. Like,
I don't know. It's just like you can just go to any judge and have the judge, if he's in your state, say, here's a restraining order. Go ahead, do what you want to do.
Again, the NCAA, they don't have much power, but there are people who can put an end to this. And
yeah, the conference commissioners ought to be able to be the ones that say, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing this in our conference.
Yeah, I would like for Greg Sankey or somebody to step up and say, all right, like, this is absolutely ridiculous here. It really, like, people of Texas fans have brought up the idea of Ethan Burke coming back to school. By the way, Ethan Burke's having a great preseason for the Ravens. So, like, even though he was undrafted, it seems like there's a great chance he's going to make the team. Good for him. If Ethan Burke didn't make the team, he should not be allowed to come back to Texas. That's ridiculous. As much as I love him, as good as he is, obviously it helps the team win. You got to put an end to this madness somewhere. It'd be ridiculous that's what's happening with LSU right now. And they don't have people saying it's ridiculous. Their radio host and podcast hosts are like, he's a good player. We could use him this year. Let's
bring him back.
No one's saying we can't. No one's going to stop us. So let's just do it. Why not? Crazy. What will tomorrow bring us, Buck?
I don't know. Something else will happen. It'll be changing all over the place. Hey, as I said, Notre Dame's head coach sounded like, hell, if we could, we would. But we've already started the process, BK. We've started. School has started. How can we do this? We have academics here at Notre Dame.
Did Marcus Freeman make some comment about this over the weekend that I missed?
Yeah, he just said we can't do it. We can't bring in guys with the fifth-year eligibility stuff. We just can't. We're in school. We've started. We can't do this. And it sounds like that's the only reason why he wouldn't do it.
Amazing. Are we that desperate? The answer is yes. I already know the answer to that question. We are that desperate.
We have enough good players. There are enough good football players, or it's time to give somebody else a chance. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Nah, the freshmen can wait. If we can get 23-year-olds on the team to compete against 18 and 19-year-olds around the country, we're going to do it.
Yeah, we're not going to need high school football here shortly.
Lost shame university.
Yes.
LSU. Really no shame university is what they've become. All right. Well, that will do it for a Monday program. God, we talked about a lot, but there's still so much more to get into. More takeaways from Texas scrimmage number 2. They are practicing today, so we'll have some notes from practice number 2. We'll go around the SEC with our guy Chris Phillips. A couple of quarterback announcements. We talked about Faison Brandon, but Alabama has announced its starting quarterback, so we'll go around the league, get into some of those stories, and, of course, some NFL chatter as well. Later this week, the return of the Bucks Gold Star locks of the week, because college football is back on Saturday. We'll be talking about it all, plus a tip for kids.
Hey, we're not going to stay in this heat any longer. We're getting everybody a house in Colorado for the summer. If you need be, we're getting it. We're getting after that this year.
You know what? I'm tailing you this season. You and I are buying a place together next summer.
Yes, here we go.
From our lips to God's ears. All right. Well, thanks to Evan Veith for joining us. Most importantly, thanks to you people for joining us. Buck, great
Good
show.
to have you back, man. It's good to have you back in town.
Thank you, sir. Great to be back in town. We will talk to y'all tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Hook 'em.
Welcome.